So this is a mugshot of C.H. Spurgeon. His wife took this photograph right after his arrest. You see, it was 1879, and Spurgeon was a celebrity preacher. In fact, you could argue that he was the world's most famous person, drawing crowds of over 6,000 people every single Sunday morning. But all that changed when he committed a crime. Okay, let me explain. After taking this mugshot, Spurgeon was forced to spend the night in jail. Why? Because he baptized someone outside of his church. His crime, practicing religious freedom. Now, this was a big deal because England was moving towards becoming a democracy, which meant people were increasingly demanding a say in how they were governed, even in religious matters. The government didn't like that much. They wanted to control the churches as much as they controlled the markets. Spurgeon didn't agree. You see, he knew what it was like to live under the thumb of a dictator. You see, his father had been an abusive drunk, and when he was 15 years old, Spurgeon had to take legal action against his own dad to protect his family. That's why when the British government started controlling religious organizations, Spurgeon felt compelled to stand up for freedom of conscience. But that put him on a collision course with the government. In fact, within 2 weeks of being released from jail, Spurgeon was arrested again. Not only was he going to prison, his church was being attacked by authorities. To top it off, the church that he planted was fighting amongst itself. This should have crushed Spurgeon, but something inside him snapped. Suddenly, he found himself full of a confidence he'd never known. When he walked into the courthouse, heads turned because suddenly everyone wanted to know what Spurgeon was going to do next. Now, whatever your situation is, I believe that you need to know how Spurgeon responded during this season of his life, because it reveals 4 character secrets that help you stay strong no matter what happens. Secret 1, a brave heart. When the judge asked Spurgeon why he broke the law, he gave a powerful reason. He said, "I could not obey you without sinning against my God." He refused to apologize for his actions. He knew that backing down would send a message to the church and to the world that the government had won. Courage doesn't mean that you're fearless. Spurgeon was obviously afraid. It says that his knees shook as he answered the judge. Courage means that fear doesn't stop you from doing what's right. So during hard times, remember this. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. Sometimes you need to make tough decisions, but fear paralyzes you. Remember the brave heart principle. Fear doesn't have to stop you. Fear doesn't have to define you. Take action anyway. Secret 2, a learner's mind. Here's what surprised me about Spurgeon's story. After he was arrested the second time, he went home and spent all day studying the law that he was being accused of breaking. He read the section that allowed citizens to meet together for prayer, but also the sections that allowed the government to restrict certain gatherings. Then he applied those laws to his situation, and what he discovered completely shocked him. You see, the Baptist chapel that he pastored didn't belong to him. It belonged to the congregation. So when he dipped into the church fund to pay the fines of the members, he realized that technically he had mismanaged church funds. Spurgeon immediately apologized to his church, admitted that he needed to learn more about law, and then called a meeting to elect a new pastor. Can you imagine that? Someone could accuse him of stealing money, and most pastors would fight back. But Spurgeon didn't. He accepted responsibility, even though he had acted with the best intentions. This shows us that strong people have a learner's mind, not a defender's mind. In other words, instead of trying to prove themselves right, they're always asking, what am I missing? Is there another way to look at this issue? Having a learner's mindset doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Secret 3, a servant spirit. While Spurgeon was being investigated by the government, false accusations flew around like arrows. Some said he was planning to overthrow the government. Others said he was receiving money from America to destabilize England. Still others said he was a French spy. With rumors flying, most pastors would have become defensive and self-protective. But not Spurgeon. He took on a servant spirit. In other words, instead of looking out for number 1, he looked out for the people around him. He organized a defense fund to help the poor members of his church pay their fines. He even dipped into his own savings to pay the legal fees of the church. He decided to turn the negative into a positive. On the day he was arrested, he announced, "This is a martyr's triumph." Later, he told the police that threw him in jail, I'm happier in a prison cell than I've ever been. Spurgeon knew that focusing on others instead of himself was the best revenge. And here's secret number 4, a prayerful heart. In the middle of the trial, Spurgeon did what he always did. He prayed. And one day he received an answer that completely changed his perspective on his situation. In fact, I want to share that prayer with you right now. O Lord, my times are in thy hand. I wait patiently for thy salvation. Make me to go up and down in thy name in this great city, and be with me in my going out and in my coming in. Help me to do good in all the strength that thou shalt give me. O Lord, let the prisoners of hope sing my song. As you listen to those words, notice 3 things. First, he prayed from a place of acceptance. He realized that ultimately, his life was in God's hands. Then he prayed with boldness, asking God to help him in very practical ways. Finally, he prayed with faith, ending the prayer with, "Let the prisoners of hope sing my song." In other words, Spurgeon wasn't praying to complain. He was praying for strength and guidance. He knew that the outcome was in God's hands, and he wanted to be obedient in the process. So however difficult your situation is, remember Spurgeon's prayerful heart. Accept your limitations. Ask for what you need. Trust that God can deliver, and sing a song of hope. Now, the crazy thing is that Spurgeon's trial ended up working out for the gospel. Thousands of people heard about Spurgeon's courage, so when he got out of jail, his church was packed. In fact, the Baptist movement exploded and soon became the largest Protestant denomination in England. Here's the lesson. Sometimes opposition helps your cause. So if you feel like you're being attacked, remember Spurgeon's 4 secrets. Have a brave heart. Be a lifelong learner. Adopt a servant spirit. Pray like it's all in God's hands. And as you practice these 4 secrets, may God help you stay strong no matter what comes your way. Hey, thanks for watching. We're releasing 5 lessons from Spurgeon's life this year. Watch the first 2 here, and don't miss the rest of the series.